I think all of us would listen to this and say, yeah, I don't want to end up like Solomon. How do I avoid that drift? Because I recognize how easy it is in my life. As you were speaking, things were coming to mind of going, yep, I see that drift. Yep, I started in one spot and now I'm ended up in a different one. How do we start with this idea of endurance when things are good?
This is kind of what you expect the preacher to say, but you have to start with God. You have to ask God. And that's just a simple, humble prayer. It's saying, God, I will not get to this on my own. I can go read 1,000,000 books, I can do whatever, I can listen to podcasts, but I need you to speak to me. In the New Testament book of James, in chapter 1 and verse 5, James says this, he says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously without finding fault, and it will be given to you. So it's kind of a very straightforward thing. So we start, I think, with this prayer that says, God, I know that naturally I will not be wise on my own. I might be smart, I might even be successful, but when left to my own devices, I will not be wise. So we ask God.
Yeah, and when left to my own devices, I think I'm just going to try and I'll figure it out, but I'm jumping all of the steps. I'm jumping to doing, I haven't heard, and I haven't listened. And I'd love if we could just unpack the three of those things, because they sound very similar, they're packaged very well, but they are very different. So when it says hearing, what does that mean?
Well, hearing is, I think actually a better way of saying it is, how do I hear better? Because there's a lot of things that we can hear in this world. And how do I slow down enough to hear completely? How do I slow down? I don't know if any of you are like me. I know you're like this. We're both like this. We hear enough and off we go. It's like, okay, I know what I need to do. And really what that is that's us staying in control. It's us taking this momentary thing of saying, how do I actually need to get back in control? I've bumped into this thing that has revealed the limits of my understanding, of my wisdom, of all the things that came before. Just like I talked about when I had my first child and when I got married at the beginning. But we're looking for like the short soundbite that gets us back so we can just go start running and start moving.
I call it IKEA furniture syndrome. I can start, but I got it. I'll figure it out. And I do it with IKEA furniture, but I do it with my faith as well. And what's interesting, too, about hearing is that I've noticed in my life, I will start listening, and then once I feel like I've got it, I'm good. So I'm not actually listening to the entire thing. I'm listening to a part of it, and the part that makes me feel good. So then I'm off to the races.
So you're the one who gets the IKEA instructions that are written in 14 different languages and have these really low resolution diagrams. You're like, is this the bolt? And once you get enough of it, you just kind of keep going and you freestyle.
And there's always extra parts. I don't know how it happens. It happens all the time. But I like what you said, and I'd love for you to unpack it. It's exposure to the right voice. There's plenty of voices out there. There's plenty of, I also do a little bit of marketing on the side. There's plenty of voices marketing for your attention, and you know it, and you feel it every single day. How do we listen to the right voice?
And that's really the question, I think, with hearing is, how do I hear better? You're going to hear, most of you will hear voices saying things, and some of those will actually even feel like God. Just because you hear a voice doesn't mean it's God, but it's, how do I hear better? I think the first thing with this, as I think about it, is you really have to slow down. You have to slow down. You have to wait out your feelings. And not just sit in a space and hope that something good happens, but then begin to anchor yourself to the Lord. One of the reasons, I know I'm always, I'm promoting and pitching what we do here, but one of the reasons we try to use whole sections of Scripture, and now we read the Scriptures, which sometimes seems a little boring, is because it's important for us to hear what God is actually saying. It's very easy for someone like me or someone like you or anyone, to take a verse and staple it onto something we've already decided is true. And I've had people come to my office over the years who have made the wildest justifications for the thing they've already decided to do, that they're just looking for justification to keep going. They're trying to get the God stamp on what they've already decided to do. And I think a good thing with hearing is starting with that question, First of all, asking God, but then asking ourselves, what's the thing I've already decided that I think I want to do? And stopping. What's the thing I've already decided? I'm like, if this is what I really want to do, God, I'm asking for your wisdom. I need to pray about it. You've already decided in your mind. You're just looking for something to kind of get you over the line. And sometimes the best thing we can do with that is just to stop. And we hate stopping.